Ayo, what is up, everybody? Coach Chad here, the CEO of the Next Level Coaching Academy and the creator of the Fit CEO podcast. I hope you guys are doing flipping fantastic. This is episode 101. Can you believe it? Kyle, who edits the podcast and produces the podcast, told me, "Hey, Chad, your last episode was episode 100," and I can't believe it's episode 100 already. I started this in January of 2020. I believe January of 2020 is when I started. And I've been doing an episode a week every single day for the past 2 years. And I hope this podcast is a great representation of what consistent weekly action can do, because my goal for this over the next 5 to 10 years is this is a very large and notable podcast. And like I said, I've been doing the boring work on a weekly consistent basis, just popping on here every Monday, Tuesday, recording a video and getting it out, doing the same thing every single week. So i hope I hope that this is a great representation of consistent action, and in the next, hopefully, couple of years, when we are in that top business category, it is a good example for y'all. All right, we're gonna dive in. I've been seeing a lot internally in NLCA, a lot of individuals talking about specific objections, and I'm assuming these objections have popped up because of the way of the world right now, and everybody's scared about finances and everybody's scared about a potential recession. I think we're already in a recession. But yeah, I've just seen an uptick in questions from our students in regards to objections. So I thought that this would be a really good podcast for y'all to listen to. So what we're going to do is I'm specifically going to go over just 6 random things that have really helped me. I don't know if I told you guys this already in a recent podcast, but for the past 3 months, I've been taking sales calls in NLCA. Last week, I was finally able to get out of sales calls. I feel like I have said this on a previous podcast, but our business operates best with 4 closers, and we had an individual that we had to let go, and it took us 3 months to find the replacement, and we successfully did find the replacement. But over that 90-day stretch, I was taking, I mean, man, like 7 to 8 sales calls a day, and I was in it. I was full in it. And I sat down and I assessed. I was like, what are things that really led to my success over the past 90 days from closing? I was closing a ton of calls and I was doing really well. And I still have it. I still have the skill of closing, which is great. But I sat down and I was like, man, there's really 6 things. I mean, there's probably more than 6 things, but there's 6 things that I wrote down that I want to go over today that I feel like really helped me recently. So the cool thing about me taking sales calls over the past 90 days is this is really recent information from calls that specifically had very similar objections to what you guys are seeing, which is the financial objections and fear of starting right now because of the way of the world and things of that nature. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right. Number 1, call this the 12 months if you do, 12 months if you don't close. All right, so essentially what this is, and you could use this for anything, right? You could use this for an individual who says that it's finances. You can use this for an individual who says now's not the right time. Anything where it's like finances, or they're trying to delay start, or they just seem nervous and hesitant to get started right now, I found this to be a really great close. So what you're going to do, like always, is you're going to ask for permission to challenge them. So you're going to say, hey, totally get, insert objection. What, always agree, right? That's the first rule of sales, is always agree with whatever they say. Totally get, it's a lot of money. Totally get, you need to think about it. Totally get, you need to talk to your spouse. Do you mind if I challenge you, right? The second rule of sales, always ask for permission, right? Because if you just say, hey, I'm going to challenge you, what does the prospect do? Immediately puts a wall up. Immediately puts a wall up. And they're not going to be as open to hearing what you have to say next. So do I have permission to challenge you? They say yes. All right. And then what you're going to do from there is you're going to say, all right, tell me what life would look like. So let's say that we chose not to commit. Let's say that we chose not to work towards this goal. What would life look like 12 months from now if we chose not to pursue this goal? Pause, and then you let them speak. All right, so let them communicate exactly what their life would look like 12 months from now if they chose not to commit to this goal. All right. Then you're going to say, all right, cool. Thank you for sharing, by the way. What would life look like 12 months from now if you chose to absolutely dive headfirst into this goal and commit to this goal? What would your life look like 12 months from now? Get them to describe, right? You could say, like, what else, what else, what else? Really get them to exhaust exactly what their perfect life would look like if they accomplished and reached and started working towards and taking action on this goal now. All right. Almost immediately after they describe that perfect picture, you're going to turn around and you're going to say, well, are you willing to settle for anything less than that? They're obviously going to say no because they just talked about their perfect dream scenario. And you're going to follow up with that after they say, well, no. And you're going to say, well, then I just got one question for you. Are we doing this then? And then you close the deal. All right. So, what does your life look like 12 months from now if you don't commit? Have them describe, great, what does your life look like 12 months from now if you choose to pursue this goal? They describe the perfect scenario. Almost immediately, you say, cool, well, hey, are you willing to settle for anything less than that? And the second they say no, you look at them dead in the eyes and you say, great, then are we doing this then? And you close the deal. All right. So that's the 12 months if you do, 12 months if you don't close. Okay, point number two. This isn't necessarily a close, but I found this to be very, very helpful in digging and digging for and finding the objection. Okay, so and I have our closers do this now too. So this is something that we train internally for our NLCA closers. But when we pitch, we always say, hey, it's X on a payment plan, X paid in full. Which option is best for you? All right. And I can make a whole podcast on why I choose to frame it that way. But to make a long story short, there's an old sales adage out there that says the first person to speak loses. I think that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But if it is true, then why don't you pitch the price and ask a question opposed to pitching the price and being dead silent? The dead silent route has always led to non-closes, awkward situations, uncomfortability between you and the prospect. But if you just say, hey, X on a payment plan, X paid in full, what's best for you? Right? You just ask the question. So now they have to respond and they have to tell it's an A-B answer, right? It's either payment plan or pay in full, right? There's not much else they can say. It's an A-B answer. So they got to tell you if it's payment plan or pay in full. All right. So here's the tip though. So if they say payment plan, what most people do is they immediately start talking about options. What I started to train our closers to do in NLCA is to actually pull back before talking about options. So let's say they say payment plan. All right, if they say pay in full, you just go for it. You just say, great, let's go, let's commit, let's do this. But if they say payment plan, you're going to say, hey, before we talk about any options, do you mind if I ask you a couple questions? They're going to say yes. You're going to say, all right, cool. Do you trust me? Do you believe in me? They say yes. You're going to say, all right, great. And do you think that this program is exactly what you need? Like, do you feel like this program checks all the boxes for you? All right, they're going to say yes. Then you're going to say, cool. And if you have the program, do you feel confident that you would follow through, right? You would do the workouts, you do the nutrition, do the check-ins. They say yes. If they say yes to all three of those things, then you'll follow up and say, great. So the only thing that we have to figure out today is the finances. Is that correct? They say yes, and then you finalize that by saying, awesome. Well, hey, are you open to getting resourceful to figure that out with me today? So here's what this does. All right. And this is why I love to do it before going over any options. All right. So it gets them to confirm that they trust you. It gets them to confirm they believe in the program. It gets them to confirm they believe in themselves. It gets them to confirm that the only thing you have to figure out now is finances. So you know exactly what the objection is. And then you finalize that by getting them in a resourceful state, right? So you say, well, awesome. Hey, great. Figuring out the finances is the easiest part of my job. Are you open to getting resourceful with me today so we can figure that out? They say yes. Now they're in a resourceful state to actually hear your payment plan options. Both of you guys are on the same side of the table. Now you guys can figure it out together. Okay. The other thing this does is if at any point they say no, they don't trust you. No, they don't trust the program. No, they don't trust themselves. No, actually, it's not just finances. There's also this thing and that thing and the other thing. This draws out the objection so that you guys can actually solve the real objection at hand. All right, so this isn't necessarily a close, but I've found this to be very helpful because it's going to do one of two things. It's going to set them up to talk about payment plan options in a better frame of mind, or two, it's going to draw out an actual, it's going to draw out an actual problem prior to talking about the finances so that you can solve those problems first, then talk about the finances. All right, so that's my second point that I wanted to go over today. Boom, boom, checked off. All right, third thing I wanted to go over today is the resourcefulness question. And you guys probably have heard me talk about the resourcefulness question ad nauseum, but I'm going to say it again because I could just feel it in my gut that not enough individuals do the resourcefulness question. All right. If you create an environment where it's you versus the prospect, you will always lose the sale. All right. If it feels like an argument, if it feels tense, if it feels like you're pushing them and convincing them, it's never going to work. But if it is you two on the same side of the table, trying to solve the problem together so that you can find a way to get them into the program, if the person is equally as resourceful, it almost always works and you always figure out a way to make it work. All right. But what you have to do is for money. If they say that money is their challenge, money is my objection, you follow up and say, hey, look, money's the easiest part of my job. Are you open to getting resourceful with me today to figure this out? Because we have a bunch of different payment plans and a bunch of different options to help you get in the program, but I need you to get in a resourceful state with me. Do I have you in a resourceful state? They say yes, great. Now anything is on the table and you can figure it out. You can also use, and you probably haven't heard me say this one yet, but you can also use the resourcefulness question with time. So if they say, just not sure if I have the time for this, just so busy, right? What you can say, I love when people say they're so busy. It's like, are you really? Are you really that busy? Come on now. Let's think about that. But I love to ask this question. So I say, hey, totally get that you're busy. Life is crazy. I get it. Trust me. I'm a business owner. I get it too. All right. But, quick question for you. Are you open to getting resourceful with your time to figure out a way to make this work, to figure out a way so that you can lose these 30 pounds so that you can do X, Y, Z, whatever their Y is? And it's asking the resourcefulness question just in terms of their time, which is also an asset, opposed to their money. All right. So you've heard me traditionally say, are you open to getting resourceful with your finances so that we can figure this out together? Now I'm proposing that you use, are you open to getting resourceful with your time so we can figure out a way to make this work so that you can reach goal and ultimately reach Y, whatever they said their Y was. All right. That's point 3. Done and dusted. All right. Next one. What do I got here? Yes. So another objection that I've seen a lot recently from prospects in this market is, you know what? I want to do this program. Seems awesome. I just need a month to get my finances in order. I just need a month to come up with a down payment. I just need a month to, move some things around, right? That's typically the go-to, move some things around. What are you moving around? When people say that, I'm like, what are you moving around? All you have to do is open up your bank app and click transfer, and it should transfer instantaneously. What are you moving around? That's what I think. I don't actually ever say that, but that's at least where my mind goes. All right. But in actuality, here's what I like to say to figure out if it actually is the finances or if it's something deeper. All right. So if they say, well, I'm going to need about a month to, get some things in order, or move some things around, I'll say, hey, totally get that you need some time to do that. If we were able to come up with a payment plan that's fair for you, but also fair for the business, would you move forward today? Because here's the thing. If they say yes to that, then you just need to figure out the right payment plan, right? That just tells me that they don't feel like this is the right payment plan yet. But if they say no to that, then it tells me it's more, right? It tells me it's more. All right. So I love this question. Whenever they say they're going to delay money, right? And about, I just need a month. Got to move it around. Got to move it around. You always follow it up with saying, hey, totally get that you got to move things around. If today we were able to come up with a payment plan that's fair for you, but also fair for the business, would you move forward? And then if they say yes, renegotiate. If they say no, it's like, okay, what else is on your mind? Tell me more, right? And you want to dig a little bit deeper. So that's not necessarily used to close the deal, but it's used to pinpoint, is this actually money or is there something else deeper that I need to help them solve? All right, so that's number 4. Okay, number 5, the who are you doing this for close. All right, so earlier we talked about the What happens in 12 months if you do? What happens in 12 months if you don't? And using that as a close. Excuse me. There's a way to go a little bit deeper on that. All right. And what you're going to want to do is if it doesn't seem like they are very motivated by their own, and they mention a lot in the call, like they need to do this for their kids, or they need to do this for their spouse, for their wife, or their husband. If it's something external, right? There's a deeper motive than just themselves, then this is really powerful. Right. So the way that you could do this is you could say, so quick question for you. Who are you doing this for? I know earlier in the call, you said your goal is you want to lose 30 pounds, and you mentioned, you're doing this for your kids and things of that nature. Tell me a little bit more, like, who are you doing this for? Like, why does this matter so much to you? They'll tell you, right? I'm doing this because, XYZ reason, right? And then from there you can say, all right, so I know time is a challenge, or money, whatever it is. Usually this works for time or money. You could say, I know you're strapped on time, or I know it's money, but do you mind if I challenge you here a second? They say yes. And you're going to say, all right, so once again, I know you're doing this for XYZ reason. What happens 12 months from now if you look back and you realize that you let your kids down because you didn't choose to commit today? How would that make you feel? Let them talk. And then you say, so who are we really letting down here? If we choose to let finances get in the way, if we choose to let time get in the way, right? Time has been your issue. I'm assuming time has been your issue anytime that you try to lose these 30 pounds. I'm assuming finances has been the issue anytime that you try to lose these 30 pounds. But I'm going to challenge you here because it's the right thing to do for me as a coach. Who are we really letting down if we choose to continue to let finances and or time hold us back from really pursuing this goal? And are you okay with that? So what I just did there in that I went off on a little bit of a tangent, but what I just did there is that's leadership. All right. Way too many coaches that I've seen close don't embody their coachness. And what I mean by that is, you as a coach, you're a leader. You're a leader of people that you are trying to help transform their lives. You're a leader of your client base. You have to bring that same leadership quality onto these sales calls, and you have to get people out of their comfort zone to commit to the thing that they want to commit to, but are having such a damn hard time doing. And you got to challenge people in that regard. And the best way to do that is 9 times out of 10, if you are doing something for somebody else, you are not going to want to let that person down. Almost, and I don't want to say almost always, but a lot of times if you're doing it for yourself, typically the person's okay if they let themselves down. But if they did it for their spouse or their kids or their parents or somebody outside of themselves, they're not going to want to let that person down. And if you paint the picture that if they continue to let time or finances hold them back, and ask them, well, if you continue to do that, who are you really letting down here? And you let that sink in, and they say, you know what, you're right. And then follow that up with saying, great, are we committing to this? That to me is extremely powerful. All right, so that's point number 5. We are moving on to point number 6. This is the final point of today's podcast. Another time objection one. All right, now's not the right time. I need to start an XYZ date or whatever. So we have a guarantee, and this is more of a logistical way of handling it. It's a little bit less emotional, but we have a guarantee in NLCA. That guarantee is, we guarantee you're going to 3 times your investment within the 6 months. And if you don't, you get a full refund. There are stipulations tied to that guarantee. The stipulations are the action items in which somebody would have to do in order to meet that guarantee, in order to 3x their investment. So when we get the time objection, what we do is we use the guarantee to show them logically how much time it would actually take in order to reach the desired result, which is the guarantee, the 3 times your investment. So I say, hey, totally get that you don't have time. Do you mind if I show you something? They say yes. And I say, all right, so look, we have a program guarantee. We're going to guarantee that you 3x your investment within 6 months. If you don't, you get a full refund. Like everything, there are stipulations tied to it. The cool thing, though, is our stipulations are tied to the action items that you would have to take in order to hit the 3x ROI, the 3x of your investment. Those stipulations are you'd have to attend your game planning call one time, which is 30 minutes one time. You'd have to attend one group call a week, which is 1 hour out of your week. You'd have to complete your course material within 6 months, which is 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That's 2.5 hours out of your whole entire week. So right now we're at 3.5 hours a week. All right. And then you would have to attend your 2 one-to-one calls every single month. Each one-to-one call is 30 minutes. That's 1 hour out of your month. So we're looking at 3.5 hours a week of going into the course and the support. And you're looking at an additional hour a month of one-to-one calls. So you're really looking at, what's the math, the quick math on that? That would be about 15 hours a month of time that would be dedicated into the program. On top of that, we're expecting you to put in 15 to 20 hours of application a week into your business. So do you feel like you have these 15 to 20 hours a week to actually execute on growing your business? If they say yes, I've solved the objection. If they say no, I'll take it a step further and I'll ask them that resourcefulness question. I'll say, cool, well, hey, are you open to getting resourceful with your time so we could figure out how we can squeeze these 15 to 20 hours in? They say yes. Now I could look at where are they spending their time that I could replace with this. All right, so it's a little bit long-winded, but if you have a guarantee, I highly recommend that you tie the action items to reaching the guarantee. Wow, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I highly recommend that you make the stipulations the action items that are needed to hit the guarantee. And you can use those stipulations or action items as a way to logistically handle the time objection, because you could just show them this is how much time you need to spend in order to reach said guarantee. And if they say, wow, I didn't see it that way, then you solve the objection. If they say, no, I don't think I can actually do those action items, then you ask them the resourcefulness question for time, and then you could do an audit of how they're spending their time and seeing where we can reallocate their time. Woo! All right, guys, we freaking did it. Those are my 6 points for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I love sales. I love closing. I love leadership. I love asking hard questions. I love objection handling. So if you guys enjoyed this, let me know. Take a little screenshot, post it on the good old Instagram, tag me at the Fit CEO, leave a little review. I think we only have 28 reviews. What the heck is that? 28 reviews. We should have way more reviews than that. So if you have listened up until this point, please take 60 seconds. Go leave a 5-star review, leave a little write-up, and I'll see you guys in the next one.